Good morning and welcome to Rising. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a lot of news to get to today in the show. And before we do that, first, we certainly wanted to take a moment to take actually a live look at the memorials that are happening here in D.C. and in New York. You can see them on screen. That's the Pentagon on the bottom there, and then that's New York in the upper screens.
Now, today marks 24 years since September 11th, 2001. Nearly 3,000 people in New York, the Pentagon, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania were killed that day in attacks.
So you're seeing these memorial sites live there, as I said, today as we remember, of course, those who lost their lives 24 years ago in 9/11. It's a really important thing always to reflect on that every year.
Yeah, and growing up in New York, I think we all can remember, we're old enough to remember that moment. So in addition, it's been a tumultuous news cycle just in the last 24 hours. And so I know that you really wanted to talk about Charlie Kirk's life in your radar today. So why don't you start with that?
Yeah, thanks so much, Lindsay. Well, you've likely heard the horrifying news that we just alluded to. An assassin's bullet has struck down Charlie Kirk, the prominent conservative commentator and founder of Turning Point USA, while he was speaking at an event at Utah Valley University on Wednesday. Now, he was just 31 years old and leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. Graphic video footage of this killing, which occurred as Kirk addressed a large outdoor crowd of students and supporters. It shows him being shot in the neck. He was, of course, rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately did not recover. Now, this shocking tragedy has prompted an outpouring of lamentations from Kirk's many friends in conservative media and also in Republican politics. Announcing his death on Truth Social, President Donald Trump wrote that Kirk was great and even legendary. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie, wrote Trump. Trump is right. Kirk's influence among right-leaning young people is difficult, frankly, to even translate into words. Kirk launched Turning Point USA in 2012 with financial backing from a Tea Party activist. The organization's stated goal was to foster a conservative movement on college campuses. Following in the footsteps of past groups such as Young Americans for Freedom, Charlie Kirk was adept at creating catchy slogans and useful talking points for conservative students to deploy against left-wing thinkers. He popularized the phrase, "socialism sucks," and added it to t-shirts, posters, and also banners. He took advantage of dramatically increased interest in crazy campus happenings among the broader American public, and he encouraged dissenting kids to challenge their liberal professors, form right-leaning organizations, and also invite Republican speakers to campus. Now, under Kirk's leadership, the group became the undisputed king of conservative campus activism, helping turn thousands of non-liberal students into fans of the Republican Party and also its rising stars like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and of course, Donald Trump himself. Kirk, too, became a prominent star known for his debate me bro persona. But importantly, he did not confine himself to the company of the already converted. And he seemed to enjoy venturing into the fray and arguing with liberals and leftists. The more of them at once, the better. Take a look.
Do you think men can give birth?
I think that...
yes or no question?
I think that a person who is assigned male at birth, I don't think they can give birth.
Assigned male at birth, so people are not male at birth?
I think that a person...
See, your evidence that college is a scam, my friend.
So what do you say in some cases women with IUDs are murderers?
Of course not, they're not murderers.
So what's the difference between an IUD killing a conceived zygote and like a mother going to Planned Parenthood and killing the fetus in her womb?
That was actually the best point somebody made.
It's not about the cells.
No,
it's not about... No, I'm speaking.
No,
I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
That clip is very characteristic of Kirk. He had the strength of his convictions, but he had fun while carrying out those convictions. Now, at the time of his death, Kirk was actually scheduled to debate the leftist commentator Hassan Piker. Piker deplored Kirk's Kirk's killing and has warned against future violence, and I'm very happy to see him do that. Now, Charlie Kirk was also at the forefront of the conservative movement's conquest of independent alternative media spaces. He hosted his own podcast. He racked up millions of views and listeners and downloads on YouTube, Spotify, and other platforms where conservative media personalities have thrived. Now, while he is far from the only right-wing figure to take advantage of the changing media landscape, it would be hard to overstate his impact on the overall trajectory of the Republican Party, youth activism, and also conservative communications. The current crop of MAGA influencers on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, some of whom now regularly appear at White House press briefings, displacing more traditional media figures, they are the inheritors of the ecosystem that he built. The murder of an extremely influential political figure is usually an occasion for reckless commentary from all sides of the political spectrum. One MSNBC commentator odiously implied that Kirk brought this on himself by employing hateful rhetoric. And meanwhile, some right-wing figures clearly see his assassination as an opportunity to launch a broad assault against all sorts of political enemies. But it is during moments like this, when the temptation for ghoulish overreach is most appealing to political figures, that it's helpful to keep one thing in mind. In the U.S., political violence is blessedly rare. People do not generally kill one another because they disagree about politics. That is a good default status and one worth preserving. There would be no better way to honor Kirk's love of debate and discussion than to remind everyone that Americans should settle their differences with words, not with violence. And Lindsay will be talking, of course, later in the show about other reactions to his death, and then, of course, the ongoing manhunt to find his killer, who is still at large, which is very unnerving.
I was surprised that the killer was still at large. I think it's important to look at Charlie Kirk objectively and his life and what he was able to accomplish. We're talking about a 31-year-old, which is fairly young, should be young to most people. At 18, he really started this path. But then also, he's partly or largely credited for the reason that Trump chose J.D. Vance as his running mate. So not only did he create his own ecosystem of political capital, he also was extremely influential in making decisions as the Republican Party, which is a conversation about how young people's voices can get heard. I mean, anybody who's able to galvanize that many people on college campuses and really, provide a voice. And then also, I love people that are able to get in the room and debate and be uncomfortable. Obviously, there's so many conversations going on around Charlie Kirk, but I think it's important to understand what he was able to accomplish separate from any feelings about it, and notice the doors that are open for people that maybe didn't align with the standard or the status quo, because there's a lot of people in politics now that are criticized because they're going along with how they go. But he even didn't want Ronna McDaniel at the RNC, and then she was gone. And so he's one of those people that, as you want a voice in politics and what's happening, built it from the ground up. And I think that that's something that people should look at as you continue to try to make change with your words and actions. That's something that he actively was trying to do, whether you disagree or agree with him.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. His achievements are just staggering. When he came onto the scene and started Turning Point USA, there were a number of right-leaning campus organizations, and he outcompeted the other ones. He built the default, the best conservative student organization. The events he put on were spectacular. So they introduced, he got people to show up. He got students all over the country to come to his events, to learn about what Republicans believe, what the MAGA movement is, as it was rising, as it was coming along, to learn about this Republican figure and this conservative figure. That was good for fostering students who were going to become good movement conservatives, good for fostering talent on the talent side of Republican speakers. They upped their game because you had to perform well at these kinds of events. And then, of course, the effect, as you're saying, on alternative media and finding different voices. And that is the thing I think he'll be most remembered for, and that people should really pay attention to him for, is his love of the fight, the with words, not with violence, with words, persuading people. He loved it. He so enjoyed going in there, being surrounded by people he disagreed with and arguing with them. And so many people, so many commentators, so many people of our kind of caliber just play it safe. We don't, because we disagree.
We argue.
And we mix it up.
But it's also historically extremely difficult to galvanize young people to get out to vote and to be civically engaged. That's just the bottom line. The history of our country shows that those are not the biggest voting bloc. Yeah. So the fact, and as I learned even more about what he was able to do with young people, I think that's something that even as commentators, Democrats, people within politics should look at and see, how do you galvanize a vote? Well, he was showing you how to do it on one side. So
he presided over a significant shift toward the right, toward Trump among Gen Z. That it really is to his credit that took place. Next up, we'll obviously be getting into more details of the shooting and the ongoing manhunt, and also some of the tributes and reactions in the media. Please stay with us. More to come on Rising.